Well, good evening once again. It's Monday night, it's 8 o'clock, and it's time for our regular refereeing show called The Ref's Opinion. Lots to discuss this week, and just want to give you the opportunity out there. If you'd like to contribute to the show, you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, you're more than welcome to do so. There is a little thing on your screen there where you can make your comment or ask your question. Now, when we finished the show last week, there are some new proposed changes that are scheduled to come in regarding particularly, well, we know about the goalkeeper only allowed to hold on to the ball for 8 seconds. So the old thing as before where the keeper lay on the ball and took his time, and it was taking sometimes 20, 25 seconds to release the ball into play. And that was dealt with effectively. But then there's the taking of corner kicks, which is very, very slow. Substitutes going off and ones coming on, taking forever, depending if the team is losing. If they lose, then, of course, the substitutes run off as quickly as possible. And if they're winning, they drag their heels and take their time and so on. So we're going to continue with those now. And there is a recent IFAB meeting, which was held in Hensall in Wales, and it was chaired by a man called Mike Jones, who's president of the Football Association of Wales, which actually marks their 150th anniversary. So the proposed changes, which will be implemented at the FIFA World Cup 2026 in the USA, Canada, and Mexico, to respond directly to calls from stakeholders across the football community, including IFAB's globally representative advisory panels for practical tools to protect effective playing time, because we've mentioned, and Keith has mentioned many times, the actual playing time is something closer to 50 minutes than 90 minutes with all the time that's wasted. So, Keith, glad to have you on the show. Thanks very much again. Former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL, and the man responsible for goal line technology. Thanks again, Keith. Always good to have you on the show. We did mention the goalkeepers last week lying on the ball and taking their time and so on and so on. This time we'll talk about throw-ins and goal kicks. Now, throw-ins, generally the law says the ball must re-enter the field of play where it left the field of play. But as you and I know, the players are stealing 10, 15 yards and they're taking their time and they'll have a little hop and a skip and they'll go forward. Very seldom are referees telling players, get back, you're not coming from where the ball left the field of play. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think that I support this move. I think that what IFAB are proposing and going forward with is a 5-second countdown. So now what we want is referees to understand this change and, of course, to apply it. So when we take into consideration the ball going out of play, we give the player a short amount of time to gain possession. Obviously, in the Premier League, what they've done is put the ball on cones. I think that applies to Football League as well, to avoid any confrontation with the ball boys or ball girls acting, disappearing as they have done in some games in the English Premier League in the past. So in simple terms, they're now saying the player effectively taking the throw-in has got 5 seconds. It's allowing the referee to get the administration bit, position, etc. But if the referee decides that there's effective time wasting going on here, then he starts counting down with his hand in the same way as the goalkeeper, 5 seconds downwards. If by the time the 5 seconds has gone and the ball is not in play, then the throw-in is handed to the opposition. And for me, I think this is a good move. I think it's just one element of hopefully speeding up the game and stopping this nonsense of the creep down the line it's happening almost in every game.
Yeah.
And in fairness, I've only seen Anthony Taylor, the only referee in the Premier League so far this season, blow up and award the throw-in to the opposition.
Yeah.
And there were many referees who thought they were a bit surprised. They thought that law no longer existed. Well, if you look at the laws of the game, that still exists.
Yeah.
I took a bit of criticism when I applauded Anthony Taylor for doing that. And just moving slightly off the subject, and I'll get back to it, I do applaud Anthony Taylor this weekend. He had the Newcastle-Sunderland derby, and he was in very, very early on corner kick confrontations, sorry. And it was good to see the referee manage it very, very effectively. Mm-hmm. And I think he must have thought about it, set his stall out, and generally the players responded. Yeah. And on one occasion, when they didn't, he awarded a free kick to the defence. So if Anthony Taylor, perhaps our number one referee alongside Oliver, can do it, then I think every other referee in the Premier League can do it. Yeah. So I think it's great that the governing body are looking seriously at time wasting and then coming up with answers or proposals to say, this is what we're going to do. So throwing ministry.
So when would the 5-second countdown start? So the player goes, he gets the ball from the cone. I don't know why they do it. They never want to use the same ball twice. When the ball goes out of play, you used to retrieve the ball, but now they're going to get a ball from the cone. And my worry about this is that the cone where the ball is much further away from where the ball actually left the field of play. So they're immediately stealing yards.
Yeah. Well,
the 5-second or so countdown, when would that actually start?
Well, what it says is this. If the referee considers that a throw-in or goal kick is taking too long or being deliberately delayed, a 5-second visual countdown will be initiated. So they're retaining the power of the referee. And this is why I started the conversation. You referees out there, when this law comes in June, please apply it. Don't ignore it. And if you're assessing a referee or a referee that's on the promotion trail and he fails to apply this law, then make a reference to it and downmark the referee. Because I think all too often the lawmakers are introducing law changes and referees are failing to apply them. So this one I think is important. I think that FIFA and the IFAB have recognised there's a lot of shenanigans going off.
Oh, big time, yeah.
And as a result, I think they're making this proposal to impact on that situation. And then they're also doing it with substituted players.
Yeah.
Substituted, you know.
I think that's a good one, Keith, because
yes.
When if a team is winning, the player coming off will drag his heels and he'll walk and he has to applaud to the crowd and he blah, blah, blah. But if his team is losing, they're off that field like a shot. So it's deliberate tactical stuff.
Well, I think they've thought seriously about this because what it says is this. To further streamline the match flow, substituted players must leave the field of play within 10 seconds of the substitution board being displayed.
Oh, that was my next question. And I'm playing devil's advocate here for the viewers. When would that 10 seconds start?
Yeah. Or where there is no substitution board of the referee's signal. So again, referees, it's in your hands. Should the player fail to leave within this time, they must still exit the field, but the substitute will not be permitted to enter until the first stoppage after 1 minute
Oh,
running
I
clock.
thought it was 1 minute he could come on, but it's
No,
there has to be a stoppage in play. Yes, of course.
they must still exit the field, but the substitute will not be permitted to enter until the first stoppage after 1 minute. So it's not 1 minute; it's greater than 1 minute. If the game continues and the ball doesn't go out of play, I suspect the pressure is going to come on the referee here, right? But the reality is 1 minute minimum, because you're now waiting.
That's important, yeah.
You are
And
waiting.
you know what I mean?
If
the play went on and on and on, and that could be 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, of course it could.
But Keith, the old story: will the referees stick rigidly to that? The pressure that will come from the clubs and the big clubs in the Premier League, the pressure that'll come from them, and there'll be all kinds of criticism of the referee. But you know, they must have broad shoulders. They must be able to accept that criticism, the referees, and be consistent that everybody's doing the same thing.
I think that's important. I think that the answer always to a referee who is applying the laws of the game accurately, his defense is, I'm applying the laws. That's what I'm paid to do. That is why I'm here. So I think I'm very clear that I think at the moment, the amount of criticism that referees are receiving, particularly in the Premier League, and we've criticised them in the hope that they may learn from their errors, which is important in refereeing. And this weekend, you know, I watched Anthony Taylor. I thought he had a really good game. I watched Sam Barrett again deliver a very good performance. And when we come to Peter Banks, who had the final, it was a tetchy first half. It was disjointed. There was no game flow. But in fairness to him, right, he stayed away from it to some degree. By that, he got involved with the important ones and allowed the game to continue. So I think that's important. Now we look at the next one is off-field treatment and assessment. Where a player receives on-field assessment for an injury or their injury causes play to be stopped, the player will be required to leave the field of play and remain off it for 1 minute. And they want a running clock once players restarted. So that player's come off, he's been treated, and the minute is not from when the player leaves the field of play, it's from when the game is restarted. That's important.
Yeah.
Because there's delay going off, tactical delays going off to avoid that 1 minute. And that's important. And so again, that is another part coming.
Yeah.
On the video assistant referee, what they've now done is they're saying that red cards arising from a clearly incorrect second yellow card, mistaken identity when the referee penalised the wrong team for an offence that results in a red or yellow card being shown to the wrong player, and a clearly incorrectly awarded corner kick, provided that the review can be completed immediately and without delaying the restart. The IFA, the competition, this is a competition option. The IFAB also agreed that trials be conducted to further assess tactical injury delays. So what they're actually doing is VAR will now be permitted to assist the referee in relation to red cards from a clearly incorrect second yellow card, and where appropriate, corner kicks. You know, we've had 2 or 3, haven't we, when we have explained the whole of the ball has got to cross the line, and in some instances it hasn't, and therefore, you know, this is a difficult area at times for the referee, because we've talked about that sphere and a straight line. So I think those things will be, I think, very, very useful.
You're watching the Ref's Opinion. We go out every Monday night on facebook.com/Hanging Judge Ref. If you'd like to make a comment, please do so. More than welcome to. I see one here from Gav Mungy, who's a regular contributor to the show, and I'm just going to put his comment up. And he simply says, and we both agree, it will speed up the game. And you're absolutely, well, we hope so, Gav. It has to be still determined, of course. The other thing, Keith, many, what would I call them, cynics might say, well, you're talking about players wasting time. What about the match officials wasting time with the VAR? Now, as I said, it's a rhetorical question, but you know, just to play devil's advocate and speak on behalf of some players or spectators or fans who'll come back in, the amount of time sometimes it takes for the VAR guys to arrive at a decision.
Yeah, I think that this is a field where we talk regularly about VAR and the skill of the VAR. Sometimes the interference of the VAR.
Yeah.
I mean, this week in Scotland, where I think the refereeing standards have been really good, personally. We had a situation where a player was fouled outside the penalty area, heading for goal. The referee, in my opinion, rightly awarded a yellow card. There were elements that did not fulfill the criteria of DOGSO, and amazingly, so the referee had made the correct call.
Yeah, just to explain to those who don't know, DOGSO, denying of a goal-scoring opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we had was a VAR come in and send the referee to the screen, and then he reviewed the film clip and remarkably went back and dismissed the player. Now, okay, I'm no doubt will be subject to appeal, and you know, refereeing is about opinion. But you know, certainly in my opinion, I think in other referees' opinions that have consulted with me today, they all have the same view that the referee got it right. Why did VAR come in? And this pressure that the referee's under, sadly, with VAR, and I think this particularly affects the newer referee onto the list, the less established referees. They're going to go with their senior colleagues. And in doing so, this referee automatically must have thought, have I missed something here? I'm sure, you know, I'm sure I've got it. I must be wrong. And therefore, I'll go with the VAR call. And sadly, they got that decision wrong. I expect the club to appeal.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Keith, with at the end of the day, regardless of VAR and all the officials around the referee, the main man in the middle, he has the final say. And there's only the one referee, that new referee, I'm sure I'll pronounce his name incorrectly, Farah Hallam. He's the only one who went to the screen and said, no, I'm sticking with my original decision. So, you know, the referee initially made the correct decision, but then was advised or influenced or whatever by VAR, and then he changed it to a wrong decision. So why didn't he stick to his original decision?
So the other thing on Law 4 is that where we've gone through the process that you cannot wear rings and, you know, covering them up is not allowed, players' equipment, non-dangerous items will be permitted if safely and securely covered. You know, why go back? Why do that?
This includes earrings, I guess, as well, does it?
Well, I mean, I hope hope players are not going to be allowed to wear earrings covered with
They'll be going out with rings in their noses and
Yeah,
others
yeah.
what. Oh God. Anyway, let me read you another comment here from Tommy Breen, who has become a regular viewer. Why? Tommy says, why, when a defender is injured, requires attention, and has to go off for a period of time, the ball goes out for a corner. Now the defending team, through no fault of their own, are disadvantaged as a defender is off.
Yeah.
Tommy doesn't think that's right.
I agree with you. I agree with him. I've argued this one pretty consistently. I can remember going to Radlett and meeting Arsene Wenger when he was boss of the of Arsenal. And this was a very strong point that he made. And I was hoping that going on the technical advisory committee, I mean, he leads very strongly some of the changes, that this one might be a change. There's no doubt that you can have a player who has committed a yellow card offence, is effectively allowed to stay on whilst the treatment is going on, but then at times has to leave the field of play. And I just think, for me, if the injury is sustained from a yellow card offence, I want in-depth clarification that the player can stay on, because in fairness, I do see referees applying that. But I do think that when a player has to leave the field of play for treatment, then this is a penalty to the team that's been offended against.
I have a solution to that, Keith.
Yeah.
One of my many brain waves. If a player injures another player and that the player has to go off for treatment, the player who injured him should also go off.
I agree.
What do you think of that, Tommy? You agree with that?
Yeah.
Then both teams
I think, yeah. What I'm trying to look at is whether the changes, I haven't read them thoroughly, in fairness.
Yeah.
But I wonder whether IFAB have considered the situation where, at the moment in England, we've got a problem. And that is, now we're seeing goalkeepers going down, clearly feigning injury. As we've mentioned before, rubbing the head or whatever.
It's the first thing they do, yeah.
Yeah, and then what happens is all the players run to the touchline to receive instructions from the managers.
Yeah.
And I I just feel that this now is becoming a nonsense. I watched Brentford at the weekend when I think it was Leeds were beginning to get momentum into the game, and the flow was there, and all of a sudden the goalkeeper Kelleher went down, and and then the players immediately went to the pitch line. Now I heard a conversation today where there was a suggestion that when that happens, because referees have little choice, they've got to stop the game, because what happens if the goalkeeper is really injured?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I heard today was, well, two, if you like, advise situations is one, the goalkeeper goes off, or the goalkeeper stays on, but a player has to go off. A member of his team has to go off for a minimum of 1 minute. Or when the goalkeeper goes down, everybody congregates in the centre circle, or generally not allowed to go to the technical area. So I think there's a recognition that there is a problem, and I'm waiting for a solution from IFAB in terms of that particular incident. But as I said, I'll reread and continue to reread these proposed changes. And then, of course, what we have to do at the time is the league, because of the flexibility on certain ones, is the league going to adopt them?
Tommy's come back with a follow-up to my suggestion, and he said, while it's a good suggestion, it doesn't change the fact that the time is still disadvantaged, particularly if it's a tall centre half. Well, yeah. Okay, Tommy.
I mean, he's right. I mean, there's no question that there is a disadvantage. And therefore, I genuinely think that where a player, I mean, the first line of view that I have is where a player sustains an injury and requires treatment from a yellow card offence, we allow that player to receive treatment, and we can extend that until he's received treatment and then allow him to stay on the field of play.
Yeah. So the last one we wanted to talk about, Keith, was corner kicks. Now, again, is it similar to throw-ins where obviously there's a countdown, so that where the player gains control of the ball, walks up to the line, he's got 5 seconds to throw it in.
Yeah.
Could the same be said for corner kicks? Because there seems to be a lot of time wasted at corner kicks, and they're looking and they're putting their hand up. Are you ready? I mean, goodness. And then, of course, from the corner kick, that we've discussed, ad nauseum, the pulling and dragging and wrestling in the penalty area. I think it's time for referees to be a lot more strict and tougher.
Yeah, I think that, again, saying that they want referees to be stricter on it. At this moment in time, on the law changes, in terms of corner kicks, all I'm reading at the moment is VAR potential coming in relation to incorrectly awarded corner kicks or balls that are close to going out and being able to say that is a corner kick or it's not. I don't see any coverage at this moment in time in terms of the time element, because it does say throw-ins, and I'm just rechecking to make certain that I'm not getting anything wrong here.
Yeah.
Because it's quite long-winded. It's basically just at the moment highlighting throw-ins and goal kicks. It appears not to cover delaying of the corner kick.
Yeah. So Keith, on the ball going out of play for a corner kick, could they not extend the goal line technology to go for, instead of between the uprights and under the crossbar, of course, to extend it from corner flag to corner flag?
Yes, they can. That would cost them extra money. And I think that is probably why it's not in.
Why does it cost extra money? Because the TVs are there, and they've shown there was one incident where the goalkeeper brought the ball over the line and brought it back in again. I mean, surely that should be sufficient.
Well, I think you can do it with standard cameras, but the reality is the distortion in the accuracy of cameras that in those situations. So, look, when we talk about goal line technology, I've already said there are 7 cameras covering the goal mouth, the goal post area. So if you then extend it from corner flag to corner flag, you need considerably more additional cameras in order to determine the ball crossing the line inside the goal post, not outside.
Again, don't we have a lot to learn from rugby, how they can solve these things very, very quickly? And
absolutely. Absolutely.
Brian Vexler is a regular contributor. He's come in with a comment as well. Why don't they just stop the clock like rugby when the ball is not in play? Well, Brian, very simple answer to that is that the game will be not only 90 minutes, 2 hours long, and that's. And Tommy's come in with another one, and he says, where am I here now? I just get it down. On another point, throw-ins, the amount of yards stolen, well, we've talked about, is ridiculous. Perhaps color-coded color code the outside of the pitch, yellow, blue, etc. Ref calls the color. Just we've talked about that many times as well. The laws are there, Tommy, to cover those situations. The problem is the enforcers of the law, the referees, are not doing their job. And the assistants, they're not doing their job. That's really the bottom line. My goodness, how the time flies. And I was going to talk about other things, and we're just talking about law changes, but they're important. They will come into force for the World Cup in the US, Mexico, and in Canada this summer. So we're all looking forward to that. Time has run out again. Thanks very much again, Keith. Really appreciate your input into the show, and to Brian and to Tommy and to who was the other one? Gav. Tommy, Brian, and Gav, thank you very much. And to all of you out there watching, we'll be back again next Monday night, 8 o'clock, same place, same channel. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Please spread the gospel if you've got some friends and relatives who might like to watch as well. But we'll be back next Monday, 8 o'clock. Until then, thank you and good night.
Bye. Bye. Bye.